Welcome to another edition of Florida Newsmakers with our very special guest, President and CEO of Enterprise Florida, Swoope. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Let's just jump right in. Governor Scott has made jobs his #1 priority. You have a large role in making that happen. Talk to me a little bit about Enterprise Florida and the role it plays in the state.
Well, first of all, when you look at job creation, I try to think of it in 3 different segments. You have what I call the market-driven segment, which, 19 million plus people in the state. There's a lot of market-driven growth there, and we have to capitalize on that by making it easy for businesses to get started, for the entrepreneur, for the person that sees there's a market opportunity. The second part of that is facilitated growth, where the state invests in infrastructure or into certain segments that it knows is a return on the dollar. Tourism was a great example of facilitated job growth. This year we're going to, our goal is to reach 100 million visitors to the state of Florida, and we know that generates jobs and business. The third area is competitive projects, and that's where Enterprise Florida plays its greater role. It's the projects that are out there looking in the United States and other places. Do we go here or do we go somewhere else to expand or to locate their business? In Governor Scott's administration, we've already won over 350 of those competitive projects, and that's where Enterprise Florida and our team work relentlessly to win those projects where Florida families can have jobs.
New slogan, the perfect Florida, the perfect climate for business. How important is that to attracting new businesses to the state?
When we talk to people outside of the state, most businesses do not have an image of Florida when it comes from a business standpoint. They have a great image of Florida from tourism. They understand the state from a tourism standpoint. But most people, the CEO audience that we want to target, they do not understand state as our state is a business climate. So we're working real hard to tell that story. And one of the ways that we're doing that is through our marketing campaign that we've put together with $1.2 million that we're launching now for the first time ever. The state will be telling its business brand.
Talk to me about tax incentives, incentivizing companies to come to the state, but there's something tied to that the general public doesn't quite understand.
Well, first of all, we sell the value of locating in Florida first, and then incentives are used to entice or to actually close the deal. I've always said that an incentive will never make a bad deal good, but they can make a good deal better. They're all based upon performance. When we use incentives, we're looking out for the taxpayer to make sure there's a return to the state, and secondly, that there is compliance, that the companies will in fact do what they say they're going to do in job creation, capital investment, and the wages earned.
Enterprise Florida is sort of a public-private corporation. Can you explain that, and is there sort of a balancing act?
I get asked that question a lot, and it's quite interesting to me because Enterprise Florida was actually started by a Democratic governor, and then it has, for 17 years, it has existed in its public-private partnership form. Other states come knocking on our door to look at that model. The reason it was created was to be core mission focused, job creation, trade development. And what we were finding out in a lot of states, they're finding out today that sometimes the public sector alone, just the bureaucracy that goes with it, the ability to change and reflect change inside the organization based on market conditions, you can't do it in a state agency. So just as Visit Florida, just as Space Florida are public-private partnerships, Enterprise Florida is a public-private partnership that are private sector employees, not state employees, private sector employees, that are focused on job creation and trade development. And so doing so, we're nimble, we're flexible, we're efficient, and we're also result driven. And when we have good results, then the state wins.
Great. Tell us what it's like on the inside. How do you go after businesses? Do you just all meet around the table and say, you know what, that's a corporation we want to bring to the state of Florida?
Well, there's certainly there are certain companies that we'd like to see that have a bigger presence here. But a lot of our activity is again, taking our message to where the decision makers are. Today in corporate America, downsized a lot, the decision making is now at third party, site selection consultants.
That's true.
And so if you look at, in the universe, there's probably about 3,000 site selection consultants that do projects. If you really look at that list, there's about 100 that we really want to know. So we focus our activities on a core number of those site selection consultants to make sure that they know Florida, they know the business climate we hear, and that we know that the packages that we can put together and locate their clients here, the businesses here, are good for all of us. And a great example of that would be Hertz. You know, Hertz, who came from a site selection consultant. We were able to move a Fortune 300 company to Southwest Florida, a competitive project that was looking whether to stay in New Jersey or Oklahoma or go to a third-party location.
What about the smaller businesses? What are we doing about attracting them?
Well, first of all, even a Hertz will benefit small business. When you're talking about $7 million a year in payroll that comes with a company like that, that's small businesses from, you know, restaurants, services that can provide support. But we also realize in our state that the small business support is important from an economic development standpoint. Enterprise Florida, through our Minority Small Business Entrepreneur and Capital Program Division, long name, but we have many programs that they can have access to. We work with DEO, with other vendors in the state that work in the small business arena, and we concentrate on that. One of the best things that Enterprise Florida does for small businesses are those that are interested in exporting. We are the #1 user of the U.S. Department of Commerce's Gold Key program. Gold Key allows small businesses to have entry points into markets they otherwise could not afford to get into, and that has worked well for us.
And to wrap up the program, you recently had a successful board meeting, and one of the issues that came up was pay raises and bonuses. How important is it to continue to incentivize the people that are working hard to bring in millions of dollars to the state?
Well, first of all, as I said before, Enterprise Florida employees are private sector employees, and they have not had a raise in over 6 years. One of the things that we have to have is talent that can go out there and talk CEO to CEO about the advantages of doing business in the state of Florida. From our private sector funds that are raised, we have compensation that is in a bonus type format that for those that meet the metrics, are higher achievers, then they're rewarded for their work. Again, it's a private sector system that works well in the private sector, and it also works well in Enterprise Florida to keep
Very
talent.
Important note.
That's
Private
right.
dollars.
That's right.
With that, thank you, and we'll
Thank
catch
you.
up with you soon. And thank you, our viewers, and we look forward to seeing you next week.